Make sure to subscribe to our channel, join our Discord, and also follow us on Instagram so you always have the support that you need to really enhance your account and get yourself to the next level. Also, if you stick around until the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can save a lot of money when you make in-game purchases by getting some amazing cashbacks each time you purchase anything. Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the Sky channel. So there's been a lot of new updates in the Ants Underground Kingdom, and some of our most active Discord users were asking me if I can make a video on some of these updates. This is going to be one of them, and it's going to be specifically about the Assault Soldier Ants evolution. Not the ants themselves, but rather the evolution, and we're going to go over the evolution tree and see how valuable it is. So first you can see that there's this new evolution tree unlocked, and a lot of people have access to it. In fact, I think the only thing you need is a level 25 evolution fungi, and that's enough to unlock this Assault Soldier Ant stream. You don't even need T10. Now, this evolution tree is packed with a bunch of amazing bonuses in my opinion. If you go to the first one, it is talking about combat speed. And at max level, which is level 10, you get 20 extra combat speed. Now, a lot of people know that in PvP, combat speed is probably one of the most important stats, especially when you're talking about shooter versus shooter, where both sides are going to have a lot of attack, a lot of skill attack, but very little health and defense. Going first makes a lot of difference. So a small difference in combat speed is very large when you're talking shooter versus shooter. 20 combat speed, definitely well worth it. Now there's an interesting thing which is both good and bad, and that is you're not even using creature remains for this evolution. You are using Amp Crystal Fragments. That's something that came out recently, and essentially you can get them in a bunch of ways. I'll talk to you about the ways you can get them, but they are completely separate from creature remains. They're not particularly easy to get, but of course neither are creature remains. So the first evolution requires 16 Amp Crystal Fragments, and as you can imagine, as you level it up further, the amount that you need is probably going to increase. Now if you click at the top right, it says that I have 60 Amp Crystal Fragments, and I can redeem 10 Amp Crystals, which is the thing here at the bottom, to get 13 Amp Crystal Fragments, and you can do this multiple times. So the ratio is 1:1.3. So you get a little bit of a bonus Amp Crystal Fragments when you convert them from Amp Crystals. Amp Crystals have their own uses though. You do need those to upgrade the amplification level of your buildings, which as it turns out is also something that you require for future evolutions, because you do need certain buildings to reach a certain amplification level before you can actually do these evolutions themselves. What that means is that right now I probably am going to hold back from actually converting these Amp Crystals to Amp Crystal Fragments until I get a very good understanding of which of these is the one that I'm running out of more often. Then of course I might consider this, but right now redemption of Amp Crystal Fragments from Amp Crystals is not something that I'm considering as a good move, because it's too early to know the cost of Amp Crystals for the amplification level of the buildings. So how do we get the Amp Crystal Fragments? Well, firstly, getting to 420 active points every day gives me 20 Amp Crystals. 260 points give me 10, 420 gives me 10 more. Of course, these are not Amp Crystal Fragments, but as we mentioned earlier, they can probably be converted to Amp Crystal Fragments if it ever comes down to it. Next, strongest war zone, and as you can see here, when I get to the third shell, I get 5 Amp Crystal Fragments. Since I have double rewards, that's going to be 10 Amp Crystal Fragments, as you can see right here. 6th shell is going to give me 16 more, and the 9th shell is going to give me 24 more. That's a good way to collect Amp Crystal Fragments right from strongest war zone. And of course, another free way to get a lot of Amp Crystals, which can be converted to Amp Crystal Fragments as we talked about earlier, is through the Mine Store. They're definitely very expensive. You can get 160 of them, though I believe the cost comes out to be approximately 2 million Mystic Crystals to get all 160. So 160 per week from here. There's an event going on as well, which is giving you a bunch of extra amp crystals and amp crystal fragments. It's only going to last for this week, so definitely make sure that you do everything you can to get as many of these as you can for free. The first page is talking about getting amp crystals from daily tasks. As we talked about earlier, you can get a bunch of them from daily tasks. 20 every day. So over 6 days, you can get 120, and then basically you're getting 30 more for free because of this particular page. The next one is mind support, and it's saying that getting up to 150 of them is going to give you 30 more. So at least for this week, to prioritize getting the amp crystals from the mind store, even if it means that you don't have a lot left for every other thing, because you are getting a little bit of a bonus thanks to this, and then you'll also get a bunch of extra rewards up here. Queen support, consume amp crystals to upgrade the queen to amp level 0-1 and then 0-3, 1-0, 1-2, 2-0. And that's basically the amplification level of the building itself, which requires amp crystals to perform. And again, you can get about 40 amp crystals by reaching level 2-0. Strongest Warzone support, as we saw earlier, you can get amp crystal fragments whenever you reach certain number of shells. And here it says that getting 250 amp crystal fragments from the Strongest Warzone event would give you 50 extra amp crystal fragments. Again, good to have. The final one is consume amp crystal fragments to upgrade Assault Soldier Ant's evolution, and if you do up to 15 times, you get actually a significant number of amp crystal fragments. We're talking 100 extra amp crystal fragments. So make sure you do these and get these extra freebies. Definitely don't want to miss out on these. Finally, for pay-to-win players, you can buy amp crystals from the daily special shop. I believe if you purchase this $5 pack, you can purchase more and more until you actually get to the $50 pack. And based on the screenshot I got from Ucron, the $50 pack gives 400 amp crystals, and that's the last one that you can get, and this refreshes weekly. I believe if you add all of them up, you can get up to 680 amp crystals from purchasing these weekly packs. And additionally, you can get this $5 pack, which gives you 100 amp crystals over a week. And of course, a $10 pack, which gives you 250 amp crystal fragments over a week as well. And it gives you some creature remains as well, so it helps in both evolutions. Okay, going back to the Assault Soldier Ant's evolution tree. We talked about how important combat speed is, definitely worth it. So it's a pretty nice thing to get as it helps a lot in PvP, and you're going to see a significant difference against anyone who actually didn't invest in it. The next one is also very interesting, skill attack. As you can imagine, skill attack is amazing because it helps in PvP and PvE, right? And you can get 20 levels, and that gives you 10% skill attack, a pretty nice thing to get. The other side gives skill defense, which is also great, particularly in PvP. Again, 10% skill defense. These are, in my opinion, high value evolutions, right? Combat speed and skill attack, definitely very, very helpful. Next one is talking about Soldier Ant's damage mitigation rate, which is 1% per level, 20% at level 20. My understanding is damage mitigation is a reduction in damage by a specific percentage. Now, if you are looking at this, you can see that as you go across further, not only is the crystal fragments cost increasing, which is obvious, you also need to get your evolution fungi amp level to a specific level. That of course requires amp crystals, and as you can see, the evolution fungi requires the queen amp level to be upgraded, which means you basically need to spend crystals on a bunch of different amplifications that are basically related, right? You need to do the queen, then you can do the evolution tree. The other side is Soldier Ant's damage amplification rate, which my understanding is that it increases the damage that you do by a certain percentage. Again, it goes up to 20%. I don't know the mathematics exactly. I don't know if it's actually going to be an increase in 20% damage or it's just an amplification of 20%, but the actual impact might be less than 20%. I don't know how they actually coded that in, but of course, it's probably an increase in damage, which we all understand is very helpful. Then you can see there's an all squads damage increase. This seems to be more of a flat damage as opposed to an amplification. And you can see you can get up to 10% increase in damage. Again, this is very, very helpful. In my opinion, this is even better than the skill attack because it helps in PvP and PvE. And since it's an increase in damage, I believe it takes into account the final damage that you do. So it's a percentage increase in that final damage after all of the other calculations are done. Next row, attack and defense of all of your squads goes up to 10% for each of them. And as you can see now, the amplification level required of the evolution fungi is level 5. As we get deeper, it'll keep increasing. As you can see, the next one, the increase in health requires 6 amplification level, and it gives you an increase in 10% health. The next one is a little bit specific to classes, increases guardian ant damage to shooter ant, which I'm not even sure they need at this point because they pretty much destroy shooters anyway, but you can get an extra 10% damage. Shooters damage increases against carrier ants, again 10%, which is nice as well. And then there's an increase in carrier damage to guardian, which is interesting as well because guardians are PvP machines, and perhaps now carriers are going to be able to do more damage and counter the guardian PvP meta. The next one is something that everyone is probably looking for, and that is the Assault Soldier Ants evolution. This unlocks the hatching of Assault Shooter Ants, Assault Guardian Ants, and Assault Carrier Ants. And these ants are basically like Season Soldier Ants, but of course they exist outside the season as well. Now I'm going to have a specific video on Assault Shooter Ants and getting them unlocked in a separate video, but they are pretty nice and they have a nice number of stats, and I believe they can also be enhanced just like T10 ants can be enhanced as well. The next row is another increase in attack and increased defense, 10% each. Then there's another health, also 10%, and you'll notice that the evolution fungi amplification level is level 10 for this, and it has been level 10 even for the previous one, so it sort of seems like level 10 might be the maximum right now. Going to the next one, it's also level 10 amplification level, and now we're talking about increase in normal attack damage of all of your squads by 10%, and the other one is a normal attack damage resistance of 10% as well. Again, amplification level 10 for your evolution. And then the final one of this evolution tree is again amplification level 10, which probably suggests it's the maximum one right now, and it's another increase in skill attack, 10% at level 20, and the other side is a skill defense, also 10% at level 20. So overall, really nice evolution tree, which gives you a lot of things that you really need. And for the most part, these bonuses are essentially giving flat bonuses to all squads. They're not specific to certain classes, other than of course the class specific one that we went through, increasing damage to specific classes. The others are pretty much generic and apply to all of your ants, meaning this is a pretty nice evolution tree. And you know what, it probably also counts towards the evolution S3S, making it quite helpful. And before you go, I want you to know you can save a lot of money in the Ants and Ground Kingdom using our promo code, which by the way got recently updated to Sky 9. Or if you're watching this after October, you probably should check Discord and see what the latest promo code is. There has been certain updates. You can only use a promo code up to 5 times every 30 days, so make sure you use them in the most high value purchases like $100 and coin packs. There are other changes as well that I've been hearing of that you might need to add the promo code also when you're about to check out to make sure that it applies to that specific purchase. But if you still have the option to also keep it in the AppCoins wallet, please keep that as well, because I'm not sure which version of your AppCoins wallet you're using, so make sure you're doing both if you have the option to do so. And if you have any questions, join our Discord, because we have a very large community there and a lot of them are using Aptoid, so they can help you out as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.